Members, it's 2:30 and we've got a quorum already. So we are going to have 3 sessions of meetings today. The first session starts at 2:30. The second session 4:40. And then 30 minutes after the end of the second meeting, the third meeting, or the third session rather, will start. I would like to remind members to study Section 83, Rule 83A and Rule 84 of the Rules of Procedure concerning direct pecuniary interest and the voting arrangements under such circumstances. 3 members have written to the Secretariat and to me concerning the letter by Ms. Emily Lam, Mr. Fernando Zhang, Mr. Lee Chuk Yan. We've relayed their concerns to the administration. And in fact, a reply has been given to members, and that's paper 136. Now, the FC is responsible for scrutinizing funding proposals. We respect the administration's decisions and intentions concerning the order of the items, and we are not going to change this established practice. So that's my response, and I thank members for their letters. So we have FCR 2014-2015 paper 6. So members are invited to approve an increase in the government's equity in the Hong Kong International Theme Parks Limited through conversion of part of an existing loan from the Capital Investment Fund to the HKITP, and approve the provision of a new term loan from the CIF to the HKITP as part of the financial arrangements to enable the company to implement a new hotel development project at the Hong Kong Disneyland. So we have with us Mr. Philip Yong, the Commissioner for Tourism, Ms. Lo Suk Pui, Deputy Commissioner for Tourism, and we also have Mr. Lee Deng Hoi, the acting CEO of the Hong Kong Disney Resort area, and we also have Ms. Choi, responsible for corporate affairs of the Disneyland. And we have 3 members who are waiting to, who in fact were waiting to ask questions, and they were Mr. Fernando Zhang, Mr. Wu Chi-wai, and Mr. James Michael Tian. Second round. Mrs. Virginia Ip, I need to declare interest. I own some Disney shares. I have direct pecuniary interest, so I will not take part in the discussion, nor will I take part in the voting. Thank you. Mr. Fernando Zhang. Yes, Chairman. Last time I asked a very simple question, but then the Commissioner failed to give me a clear reply. So the $1.7 billion, which is an existing loan, will be converted into equity. And then there will be a new term loan not exceeding $0.8085 billion. So concerning $1.7 billion, which is an existing loan. Now, at the moment, we get interest from the HKITP. But then when this is changed into equity, we do not know whether we will get dividends. So I would like to know how much interest we will lose because of this arrangement. Commissioner, Chairman, concerning the conversion of an existing loan into equity and a new term loan, and in fact all these form part of our investment strategy in the theme park. We want to minimize the financial pressure on the theme park corporation in the medium term. No, Mr. Yong, sorry, Commissioner, I am not asking you about a strategy. I want to know how much interest we will lose because of the conversion. Commissioner, we don't have such a figure. I want to emphasize that. Now, Mr. Yong, please. So, in fact, there is a loan of $2 billion. I want to know how much interest we received last year. I think Ms. Law can tell me much more about the loan arrangements and also the interest, please. Yes, thank you, Chairman. Now, the interest rate has always been a floating one, and also we cannot disclose commercially sensitive information, but can you tell us how much interest was received by the government last year? We can't disclose the figure, but you're asking us to approve the funding, and we aren't told the interest rate. Chairman, in 1999, when we applied for funding from LegCo, we gave members an idea of the interest rate: prime minus 1.75 in the first 8 years, prime minus 0.75 in the following 8 years. But then the interest rate is a floating one. We within the government know that interest rate. But what about the interest received or the dividends received? I can only say that the corporation has already given the entire amount of interest to the government, but you can't disclose the amount. No, Mr. Wu Chi-wai or Ms. Emily Lau. Chairman, I think the administration should disclose the figures to LegCo members. It's unacceptable that even LegCo members can't get the information. If you refuse to provide the information to members, members will feel very unhappy and aggrieved. And then concerning tourism, inbound tourism, it has been said that we need to reduce the number of arrivals, and yet you are supporting this new hotel development project, and the Shanghai Disneyland will be opened soon. And this paper is silent on the impact of the new theme park in Shanghai on the Hong Kong Disneyland. Yes, Chairman. In fact, in 2009, we were able to get FC's consent concerning the equity arrangements. And in fact, since then, we have been reporting to the Economic Development Panel of this council important data, including the number of emissions in a particular year, EBITDA, and so on and so forth. And in fact, such figures are provided to the Economic Development Panel annually. We, in fact, have been trying to give members an idea of the financial position of the theme park without breaching the confidentiality and contract arrangements with the theme park. And I want to say that, in fact, concerning inbound tourism, we hope that we can attract more overnight visitors. And the third hotel at Hong Kong Disneyland will help us attract more overnight visitors. And concerning the Shanghai Disneyland, it's going to be opened soon. So we need to try to maintain the competitiveness and the attractiveness of the Hong Kong Disneyland. And I think the third hotel is one of the ways we need to rely on to make the Hong Kong Disneyland more competitive and attractive. And of course, we're going to add more attractions to the Hong Kong Disneyland. So how many percent of the existing visitors of Hong Kong Disneyland will switch to Shanghai Disneyland instead? And by that time, there will be a very big gap to be filled, so to speak. Mr. Yong, it really depends on the situation. I think what's important is that we have to maintain the competitiveness and the strength of Hong Kong Disneyland. In fact, over the past few years, we saw encouraging growth in the number of admissions. And so even with the commissioning of the Shanghai Disneyland, we should be able to remain attractive to visitors and tourists. Ms. Claudia Mo, Chairman, when the Hong Kong Disneyland was commissioned, the local and international media had the impression that Hong Kong paid most of the capital in order that a Disneyland could be in Hong Kong. People said that Hong Kong provided the chicken and the Disneyland company only the soy sauce. And now we are told that because of the competition from Shanghai Disneyland, we need to increase our competitiveness. So we're not playing cards, show hand. You said you could not disclose the figures to us. Was it that in the initial contract it was stipulated that such information was commercial secret? Here we're talking about public revenue. Yes, you talked about prime minus 1.75. So you may say I can do my own calculations, but I think it's unacceptable that you require us to do our own calculations. We are talking about public revenue and public expenditure, and public interest is involved. And I think you should disclose the details to us. Commissioner. Yes, thank you, Chairman. The Disneyland company in the U.S. has a bigger financial commitment than us concerning equity, cash equity, and loans. Their commitment is 2.8 billion. But then on our part, the new term loan will not exceed 0.8085 billion, and then we are going to convert 1.7 billion of the existing loan into equity. And our independent financial consultant has said that this is a reasonable arrangement. In fact, we're not asking finance committee to provide new injection into the theme park.
So the $800 million will be eventually returned to the government. Now, on financial disclosure, as I explained, now without prejudicing the commercial agreement, now we have always reported what we can disclose to LegCo. So you are saying that you have disclosed what you can, and you cannot disclose the rest. That's right. Next, Sin Chung Kai. I have no strong opinion on this funding request. One more hotel can ease the demand for hotel rooms, and some of my friends like to visit the Hong Kong Disney. Now, I reiterate that the government should hasten to develop phase 2 in order to enrich the destinations for visitors. Now, for the phase 2, of course, Disneyland, Disney will have a priority. If they don't want to do it, others will be given a choice. Now we have the Ocean Park and the Disneyland. I think we should have enough demand to meet to allow for a further theme park. So I would like to see early commencement of the discussion on whether they would like to enter into phase 2. If not, we can have an international tender or whatever. Commissioner, I thank the member for his comment. He has made this suggestion to us several times regarding the development of phase 2. Now, apart from Hotel 2, there are 3 sites from phase 1. And we are also making plans for the future. We hope to enter into early discussion with Disney US. Actually, we have initial contact on phase 2 with Disney. And I have heard clearly the members' views. I think we can speed up and try to have reach an early plan in conjunction with Disney. Is Disney represented here? Are they interested in phase 2? Mr. Lee, you will answer on behalf of the company. We have been in touch with the government on the expansion plan. Now, in phase 1 Hong Kong, we still have 3 sites, as earlier mentioned. These are available for development, so we are focusing on phase 1 full development. We try to add new elements so that phase 1 is competitive. You haven't formally been discussing phase 2? I'd like to ask. It seems it was 1998. Now, when it was discussed at the time, how many years of priority will Disney enjoy in respect of phase 2? Thank you, Chairman. Now, under the contract back then, from the signing of the contract, there was a 20-year limit in respect of phase 2. That is 20 years from the end of 1999, and that can be extended. But that depends on the actual operation of Disneyland. So it can be extended by a maximum of 10 years with conditions. So it now appears that in 2020 or the next few years, up to 2025, a decision has to be made. Lee Cheuk-yan, I'm questioning the SAR government whether it's transmitting some benefits to Mickey Mouse. Now, back then, when we were talking about the theme park, it was said that it's workable, money can be made, and it's also said that the government would take out its capital gradually. And now the government hasn't retrieved any of the capital and yet is investing more. The 1.7 billion has been converted into equity. I don't know whether you have received dividends. Now, originally, as a loan, you have been receiving interest, whereas for equity, you only share in the dividends when money is made. I'd like to ask, have dividends been distributed to the SAR government in the past? Secondly, do you admit that you are now getting deeper into your commitment, and that is contrary to your initial thinking that you would be able to recover your capital so that Disneyland becomes the major shareholder. And now it seems that Disneyland has all the say, and the government only pays to the plan made by Disneyland. So I'd like to ask, have dividends been received? Will you be able to retrieve your investment? We are now not yet at the stage where dividends would be receivable, but we are very optimistic about the future of Disneyland. I'd like to emphasize 2 points. Now, in all over the world, the Disneyland theme parks are all being developed and expanded. Hong Kong should be no exception. Now, the past couple of years, the Disneyland operating results and patronage have improved significantly. We should take this opportunity to expand the theme park. Now, as for the financial arrangement, I'd like to reiterate that the 800 million and 1.7 billion conversion, these are a balanced approach. They represent a balanced approach, and we have not been asked to inject new funding. Now, in the next few years, Hong Kong Disneyland will be in an important stage of development. The SAR government has to remain a major shareholder, the major shareholder, in order to safeguard the interests of Hong Kong. Since the beginning, the SAR government, in economic terms, has lost its opportunity cost. If we invested elsewhere, what would have been the return? And what's the return here? Here it's zero, no dividends received. And we are getting deeper into our commitment. And you say the future is bright. Now, when it all started, you also told the Finance Committee that everything is bright, that the capital would be returned to the government. Disneyland would take up more capital. And yet it seems that the government hasn't received any investment returns. James Toh? You can ask in the next round. I'd like to ask a question similar to Mr. Lee Cheuk Yan. I hope the government can be specific in the answer. Now, Para 6 of the document seems most important. Now, why is it that our government hasn't participated in the construction of a hotel outside Disneyland, say on Nathan Road, with 750 rooms, instead of building a hotel right next to the Disneyland theme park? You say this is a way to make more to attract more overnight visitors and to extend the time of stay of these visitors in Hong Kong. Now, what's the basis of that projection? How many people, because they are able to stay in a hotel at Disneyland, so they come to Hong Kong instead of going elsewhere? How many are there like these? Now, you say 90%, 1,000 rooms. Now, how many people don't go to Disneyland but stay in the hotel and enjoy some of the ambience of the hotel and then they leave? How many are there like these? So you say that they stay at a Disneyland hotel and they spend 1 or 2 more days in Hong Kong. So if they stay at Disneyland Hotel, actually they have to travel very far to the rest of Hong Kong. Now, have you conducted a quantitative analysis to make such a comparison? Why doesn't the government participate in the funding for construction of a hotel on Nathan Road so that some visitors come to Disneyland and have fun there? Now, the ASEAN government is a major shareholder of the Disneyland, so we have to participate in its future development. Now, I ask Mr. Lee to elaborate. Now, the two hotels have enjoyed a occupancy rate of over 90% in the past 2 years. We had to turn away 20% of the inquiries. So we have to urgently increase the capacity. Now, members ask whether some... Now, let's just focus on this one point. Now, for those visitors, you turn them away, so they didn't come to Hong Kong and they didn't stay at a hotel on Nathan Road. We don't have the statistics on that. If they want to book a hotel, and if we don't have enough rooms and we have to turn them away, we don't have figures on where they went eventually. Now, it said that people come to Disneyland in the hotel is an important part of that experience. So a large part of the visitors do stay at the hotel. So the hotel and the theme park are mutually complementary. So in the end, some people went to hotels outside Disneyland. So they still come to Hong Kong and they still come to Disneyland. So we don't need to build these extra rooms at Disneyland. He thinks that it's important to have this complementary hotel. So he needs to convince me about the number of visitors who just want to stay there. Now, if visitors come to Hong Kong for 3 nights, they will stay at the Disneyland theme park for 1 night. Tommy Cheung, now you say that the ASEAN government is maintaining its shareholder major shareholder status. What's the percentage of shareholding? 52%. You will maintain this shareholding, is that right? Our policy is that we will maintain our status as a major shareholder of Disneyland Hong Kong. Now, members asked that the question that back then, when you were not in this position, it said that the government will gradually reduce its shareholding. Has there been such a policy? When did the policy change? Now, were the members right in their presumption? Now, actually, our shareholding was initially 58%, and now it's 52%. So there has been an adjustment. Ms. Law can elaborate. Now, as the Commissioner said, in 1999, the shareholder distribution was roughly 58% HKSAR government and 42% Disney US. In 2009, we had a financial restructuring, and the theme park was expanded. Now Disney injected $3.6 billion of new capital, so our shareholding was diluted from 58% to 52%, and we felt that we didn't need to maintain a shareholding as large as 58%. We can have a majority of the seats as long as we have over 50% shareholding, so that we can have a power in the decision. Now, how much loan outstanding is there from the ASEAN government to Disneyland, to the theme park. Now, previously we had $2.0 billion of loan. So you have switched $1.7 billion into equity. So there are still $300 million of loan outstanding, not to mention the new $800 million loan.
So back to the hotel. We are told that the occupancy rate exceeds 90%, and you have to turn about 20% of the people away. Yes, I understand that for some hotels the occupancy rate maybe 90% or in some cases that may exceed 100%. So the Shanghai Disneyland will be commissioned soon. Have you also carried out an assessment on the impact of the commissioning of the Shanghai theme park on the Hong Kong Disneyland? In fact, this question has been asked before, but I didn't hear the reply. Mr. Lee, now in fact in this region there more than one Disneyland theme park can be accommodated, but I want to know about the impact of the Shanghai Disneyland or Hong Kong Disneyland. Now, in fact, in Hong Kong, we have some unique attractions, and the U.S. experience tells us that the two Disneyland theme parks do have they complement each other. And are you telling me that in fact the Shanghai theme park will not affect admissions to the Hong Kong Disneyland? In fact, that will help to boost the number of admissions. 4 minutes only, Chairman. Not 5 minutes, 4 minutes only. Mr. Kenneth Leung. Please give me an average. Now, concerning government's investment in Disneyland, what is the ROE, or is the ROE in the negative? ROE means rate of return, rate of equity. Ms. Law. In the since the 2008-2009 financial year, we have been providing EBITDA information. But then before that year, we were not able to provide the information, and so we can't provide the ROE. Now, Chairman, you're a banker. I think ROE is something fundamental. How come there can be a further injection in the absence of information on ROE? But then they've said that they've tried to provide the information that they can provide. I just want an average. Can you give me the average figure? How come you can't give me the number or the figure? Because you're asking us for funding. I think those in the business sector know very well that the ROE is only a very basic piece of information. So tell your partner that we want the information, but then you are telling us that you can't disclose the information because of the provisions in the shareholders agreement. Is that right, Chairman? And that's under the master project agreement with the Disneyland. So it's like the shareholders agreement. All right. So my second question is this. So there will be a new term loan of about $800 million. But then out of the $2 billion, $1.7 billion will be turned into equity. So in other words, the amount of loan is still a $300 million loan. So is it a strict loan or is it convertible? I mean, the $800 million. We haven't stuck out whether it's a strict loan or whether it can be convertible in the future. But then I hope that members can pay attention to one point in the structure. And we have an existing loan of $300 million, which has not been converted. And then there's the new term loan. And that will be total will be comparable to the $1.1 billion of loan taken out by Disneyland Company. In fact, this is a deliberate arrangement. So the amount of loan should be broadly the same. I mean, for the government and Disneyland. And then the rate, hypo plus 2%. What is the hypo rate at the moment? today, maybe about 0.37. Is it a limited recourse loan, or what are the repayment terms? I'm not an accounting expert. The Finance Committee is concerned about financial matters, and you may not want to talk about the financial matters. Does the loan have to be repaid? Limited recourse means virtually no repayment is required. So is it a 10-year, 20-year, or 30-year loan? And under what circumstances will you need to recall the loan immediately? Chairman, I hope that members can read enclosure 5 to the FC paper. There is a repayment period. Apart from the repayment period, are there other terms, repayment terms? Say if there is a natural disaster or if something happens, and as a result you may need Disneyland to repay, or Walt Disney Company to repay the loan immediately. Now, of course, we hope that such things will not happen. If disasters or natural calamities occur, and as a result, the joint company or the joint venture may not have enough cash to repay the money, then that there is a mechanism to deal with that. Yes, I hope that Mr. Kenneth Leung will not speak in cocktail language. Chairman, the Hong Kong Disneyland was commissioned 7 years ago, and this is the first time that they've recorded a profit, and we don't know when we can recover the initial investment. I think in this council, in the Finance Committee, we are concerned about the use of public funds. Tong Chi Wah wanted a Disneyland to be constructed in Hong Kong. He was willing to benefit the U.S., a U.S. company, and we were glad when they were willing to come. So now, for the first time, they've recorded a profit. And then there is the outstanding loan of $300 million, and there will be a new term loan, and then an existing loan, part of the existing loan will be converted into equity. So we're talking about an investment of $5.7 billion. When will we be able to recover this cost? And then $1.7 billion of loan will be converted into equity. And then there is an outstanding loan of $300 million, and another $800 million will be lent to the HKITP. I think if people haven't repaid their loans, they should not be given new loans. So what is your question? So we've got the figures for 2012, 2013, 2014, and the profit was about $200 million, and the cost of the new hotel will be about $4 billion. So my question is, when we will be able to have the new term loan of $800 million repaid? I'm not talking about the old loan, I'm talking about the new term loan. When will it be fully repaid? Yes, please, which enclosure are you referring to? Enclosure 5, Chairman, 2025. In other words, 11 years later, 2025. 11 years later, Chairman. So do you think the taxpayers will be happy with this arrangement? And there's already an outstanding loan. And the corporation will not be repaying the $1.7 billion to the government. The $1.7 billion will be converted into equity. And the annual profit, or the profit, is only about $200 million. This is taxpayers' money, not CY Leung's money. When will we be able to recover such costs? Hong Kong is a place where people know how to do business, and we practice free economy. So do Hong Kong people want to do this sort of business? Initially, 58% of the equity, and then there's an outstanding loan, and we have to give the company a new term loan, and then part of the existing loan will be converted into equity. And when will we be able to get the full repayment? 2025, 11 years later. So do you think Hong Kong people will be happy with such a deal? Ask Hong Kong people, ask the taxpayers, including I myself, whether we feel happy with such arrangements. And are there businessmen in Hong Kong as foolish as the Hong Kong SAR government? This is a very deep pit. I really would like to urge members to consider very carefully whether we should approve this amount to the HKITP. Mr. Tony Chair, thank you. Thank you, Chairman. I believe the corporation and the government departments concerned have carried out surveys and research, and I believe they've already taken into account possible competition that Hong Kong Disneyland will face. So perhaps the administration can tell us more about the research it has done. So where will the competition be from? I understand that there will be a big theme park, or there is a big theme park at Hang Chin. The Hong Kong government is the majority shareholder. And I believe the capital and the amount of capital and the amount of loans do not depend on the equity ratio. Is it that our bargaining power is greater, and as a result we are contributing this amount? And then can I ask a question about the premium? Under our contract with Disneyland, is it that we have promised to provide an without limit land for the development of the theme park and hotels? Mr. Yong, so there are these two shareholders, the Hong Kong government and the Walt Disney Company in the U.S. And on this occasion, Walt Disney is in fact, or its financial commitment is higher than that of the Hong Kong SAR government. So it can be seen that Walt Disney Company does have confidence in this market. In fact, we have taken into account the development in neighboring areas and the tourist attractions that there will be will be constructed in these places, and the competition that we may face, and so on and so forth. And then concerning the third question, land premium. The Snow Hotel will be located within phase 1 of Hong Kong Disneyland, and the phase 1 site was granted to the joint company in 1999. And I understand that this is a part of the subsidiary capital. So does it mean that when the land was granted, the land was meant to be for the development of the theme park or for the hotel? In fact, this area has been earmarked for hotel development. This hotel site is adjacent to the existing two hotels. Thank you.
Next, Sid Ho. Now, actually, since 1999, we have been objected to the government joining up with the other party in business, and we were against the fact that there was no disclosure of the details of the contract. And then there was information that in the capital injection, the engineering works for land formation was not included. And then in the sharing of the earnings, the government has also been in a disadvantaged position. And since 1999, the government hasn't answered our question. That is, when can you disclose the details of the contract? Now, it used to be 58% shareholding, and now it's 52%, and now we have been receiving profits. We have been making profits, but we still haven't known the details. Now, there may be new plans a new phase that will be developed gradually. Now, shouldn't you discuss with your partner so that the details of the contract should be disclosed to the taxpayers of Hong Kong? Now, the officials told us that even though you have recorded an operating surplus, there has been no money come into the treasury. We can only see that certain economic activities have been generated and certain jobs have been created, but on the actual cash flow into the treasury, how much is that? And how are the earnings supposed to be shared? What are the terms? Can you study making this not a secret? Now, we have been divulging the operating figures, the revenue, the patronage, operating costs, liabilities, and net profits. These basic figures have been provided since 2009, but to the best of our ability. Now, for future development, as I said, there are still 3 sites in phase 1 that can be used for expansion, and I hope that the Hong Kong Management Company of Disneyland can try to use the operating surplus for such expansion as much as possible. Overall, we are optimistic about the expansion of Disneyland, and we are also optimistic about its benefits to the Hong Kong economy. Now, apart from the land formation costs and the cash injection, and the contract has already been signed, so we can do nothing, but there will be new construction in the future. You have equity and loans converted, and there will be new construction later. Now, for these new plans, I think the government should be earnestly disclosing the details. As long as you don't disclose the details, I will vote against your injecting money into this loss-making business. Next, Mr. Albert Ho. Now, I see that in enclosure 6, both shareholders have made loans, and the terms of the loans, are they identical for both partners? Interest rate, repayment term, are they on equal status when the loans are provided? The Commissioner, Ms. Law, it's identical for both. Now, of course, I haven't seen the loan document. Do you have a term that will allow that under certain circumstances, the loan can be converted like it's done now, converted into equity, so that the loan doesn't have to be repaid but becomes equity? Is there such power? There was a similar question earlier on. The terms do not stipulate whether one can or cannot make a conversion, but what's different from before is that this time the amount of loans by the 2 shareholders are roughly the same. So when we think of the new capital structure in new investments, this will be an important consideration for the government, that the government remains the large shareholder. So when the loan is converted into equity, then we will not get the loan repayment. But if we don't exercise the power to convert it into capital, then we become the minority shareholder. Now, have a commercial decision to build a hotel and you need the financing. So it requires the loans by both sides. Now, haven't you considered getting financing from outside? Well, of course, you can let the two shareholders be the guarantors and get the loans from outside. Well, I will speak briefly first and then Ms. Law can explain. Now, in principle, any change to our shareholding or a conversion of loan into equity, we have to get approval by the Finance Committee of LegCo. So in any such situation, we will certainly have to come to LegCo to apply. Now, Ms. Law? Please continue. Mr. Ho, can you briefly remind me of your second question? Is there a power in the contract that you can turn the loan into equity? Now, this morning it's been answered in part. Now, if there's a change, of course you have to come to LegCo. Now, can you have a commercial loan where you are the guarantor? Now, when we discussed to Walt Disney, we put this question, but we need to consider several factors. Firstly, in the market, what would be the loan terms available, and the other shareholder provide certain terms. Can we get a commercial lender who provides similarly favorable terms? And thirdly, we asked our independent financial advisor, we asked whether in the market there would be third-party financing that can achieve this. And the answer is that the current arrangement is the most beneficial to the government. Next, Mr. Leung Yu Chung. Now, we may be talking about loans that members of the public are concerned that we already invested so much and now we need to make a further loan. Now, and members asked whether there was a loss. First, can you confirm, has there been a loss? And also, the officials said that they are optimistic about the development of Disneyland and that it will benefit Hong Kong's development. Now, how can you be optimistic? Can you tell us the grounds? This policy issue has been discussed many times. I want them to be specific. Commissioner, perhaps you can go over that again. In the early phase of operation of the theme park, of course, there was a loss. But there has been major improvement in 2012 and 13 when there were net profits, and the profits have been increasing. And we are confident that in the coming year, the profits will also increase. Now, since there have been an increase in profits for the government, are there any receipts for the Treasury? As I said earlier, it's not yet the time when we can receive part of the cash earnings. Now, Ms. Law, as major shareholder, we have two major objectives. Firstly, we invested funds. Now, if there are profits and if there are no investment opportunities, then we of course like to get back the capital. But the theme park is still in the stage of development, and we have been starting to make profits. So instead of taking these profits back into the Treasury, we want to apply pressure on the joint venture company so that they invest further into Disneyland, so that the theme park can grow bigger in scale and we can compete with our competitors. Now, in late this year, we will have a night parade. In 2016, we'll have a new theme attraction, the Iron Parade, and then later there will also be other large-scale expansions, and we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. And our partner has agreed that all the funds will come from the operating surplus. In other words, the government's investment will be through the continued capital injection by the company itself, so that we can have greater capacity and receive more visitors. So we keep investing. And so we have no substantial returns in the meantime. As I said earlier, we have to pay regard to the benefits for the economy. In the past 8 years, the value increase has been in hundreds of millions of dollars, and there have been many jobs created. Now, we've talked more than once about the benefits and earnings. So please take a new angle. Wu-Chi-Wai, at the last meeting, some specific questions were asked about the numbers, but there has been no written information. Now I'll ask again. Last time we asked about the internal rate of return, and the government says, if you look at the document, you can see that the investment by Walt Disney, by Disneyland, for Disneyland, it requires 8% return. So that applies also to the third hotel. Now this is Disneyland's based on Disneyland's own cost of capital. Now, so how can you estimate that the return from the third hotel will be same or similar to the return of Disneyland as a whole? And you know that the return from the third hotel will be about 8%. So can you calculate what's your internal rate of return for your own equity or capital? And also, if for various considerations this application is voted down, what would be the government's alternative? Now, what would be the option for the third hotel at Disneyland? Where would the resources come from for that third hotel then? Ms. Law? Let me talk about the return. Now, actually what we mentioned last time is that the 8% return. Now, of course, the government, in the course of discussion or bargaining, and in our own calculation, we have an idea about the internal return of the hotel. But as I said, this is sensitive commercial information. We don't want to disclose that. But we give this 8% for your reference. That is Disney by its own analysis, that its cost of capital would not be less than 8%. So any investment must make a return of over 8% before they would go ahead. And what is your contingent plan? Chairman, now, if this funding request is turned down, then the cost of capital will certainly increase, because we need to expedite to start the tender exercise, because otherwise the cost will keep going up.
And it's important that the theme park be able to attract both local visitors and mainland visitors. Thank you. Mr. Chen Chi-chun. Thank you, Chairman. If we regard Hong Kong Disneyland as a business, and of course the paramount concern should be profit or money. But I think, in fact, this Disneyland should also be serving Hong Kong people. So does the Hong Kong SAR government have this mentality? You know, the occupancy rate of the Disneyland hotels is very high. It's very difficult to book a hotel room, especially during the peak seasons. So I would like to know how many % of the hotel visitors are locals, and will the Disneyland consider giving priority to local people with regard to the booking of Disneyland hotel rooms? Yes, thank you. We do have annual passes, Chairman, and the prices are affordable. And we do offer concessionary rates to annual pass holders, and most of the annual pass holders are in fact locals. And in fact, when or during the peak seasons, we may need to turn away some of our customers, and so we are seeking funding for the third hotel, so that we don't have to turn away so many customers. But you talk about concessions, but those concessions may only be offered during the non-peak seasons, and then the annual pass scheme is just one of your ways to do business. I just want to know whether you're going to give priority to Hong Kong residents yes, we do have such promotions, but only during the non-peak periods. And then for Hong Kong residents, we offer a 2-day pass, 2 days within a certain period of time. I'm not talking about the theme park, I'm talking about hotels. Any promotions for Hong Kong people? We do offer, we do have promotions for local people. And is it that these promotions are carried out only during non-peak hours? No. In fact, that's part of our marketing strategy. Such promotions do not only occur during the non-peak periods. And also, concerning the prices of the rooms, the prices are highly transparent, and so we're not offering promotions only during the non-peak periods, because the business is poor during those periods. Mr. Yu Si Wei. Now, because this is a government investment, we shouldn't just look at the profit gained by the company. I think we should also look at factors like how many jobs have been created by the theme park, and how much tax the government has received because of this theme park. Now, the Shanghai Disneyland will be commissioned soon. And so it's going to attract a lot of people living in the Yangtze River Delta. But then for the Hong Kong Disneyland, we mainly target Southeast Asia and also the Pearl River Delta region. So have you carried out a study on the future changes in visitor mix? Yes, Mr. Yong. Chairman, thank you. The Disneyland theme park was commissioned in 2005, and there has been a $50 billion worth value added with regard to our economy and our GDP. So we've got this amount of added value to our economy because of the Hong Kong Disneyland, and a total of 148,900 jobs have been created so far. So the construction of the hotel and also the operation of this new hotel will also create new job opportunities. The mainland, Southeast Asia, and India are very important markets. Southeast Asia and in fact a lot of visitors to the Hong Kong Disneyland have come from India and Southeast Asia is because people from these countries can come to Hong Kong very easily. Yes, we have focus group studies, and I want to say that concerning our penetration rate in Southeast Asia, including the Philippines, is 40%, and then in India as high as 60%. In the mainland, we have visitors coming from the Pearl River Delta region as well as from the whole of southern China. These visitors tend to spend a longer period of time in Hong Kong. Concerning tax revenue, we haven't got this yet. You haven't received the profits tax yet, but of course you've received salaries tax from the 100,000 odd staff members. Miss Claudia Mo, second round. Yes, thank you. The Hong Kong Disneyland is an investment item of the Hong Kong SAR government, so you are investing Hong Kong people's money. You are investing on behalf of Hong Kong people. And how come when we ask you how much has been invested, how much profit has been made, you can't give me the figures? And you mentioned the master agreement. You said you could not provide the information to us. So is it that your hands are tied by the master agreement? And as a result, when we ask for data, when we ask for figures, when we ask for details, you are not in a position to provide us with those figures. And then you said that the Hong Kong government owned 52% of the shares, and the Hong Kong government still wants to be the majority shareholder. So is it that you have not enough confidence in your partner, or is it that your hands are tied by the master agreement? In other words, initially we were told that you would be reducing your shareholding, but it's now you're saying that this is not going to happen. And then it is said that you will be bringing pressure to bear on the on your partner. But this is a joint company, this is a joint venture, and you are the majority shareholder. So I think your philosophy is rather problematic. And then you said that if visitors spend 3 nights in Hong Kong, they tend to spend 1 night at a Disneyland hotel. So can you give me more details? Yes, I'll answer the first question, then Mr. Lee will answer the second one. Concerning losses incurred by the company, as I have pointed out just now, before 2009, we were not able to provide the figures to members. Since 2009, we have been reporting the annual performance of the theme park to the ED Economic Development Panel. For example, in 2009, Chairman, I asked why the Hong Kong government insisted that it should be the majority shareholder. Chairman, this is for the benefit of Hong Kong's tourism development, including the future development of Hong Kong Disneyland. Because if we can have the say in the board of directors, then we can have a bigger say in the future concerning the expansion of Hong Kong Disneyland. Now, to use this hotel project as an example, initially, Disneyland or the Walt Disney Company proposed to use a site double the size of this present site, but then we in the board of directors said that there could be more efficient use of land. Mr. Lee. Now, in fact, many overnight visitors, in fact, spend 3.4 nights in Hong Kong. Thank you. Mr. Tommy Zhang. Chairman, thank you. I want to know whether the terms of the government's loan and the terms of the Walt Disney loan are the same. In other words, the interest rate interest rates are the same. Everything is the same. Is that right? Yes. And then the repayment period is 20 something. So will the loan be repaid by profits? So how can you be sure that the loan can be repaid? So 10% in 2022, then 25%, 30%, and then 2025, 35%. And the pace of repayment and so on and so forth, the terms are the same. But of course, repayment can take place only if there is cash, if there are profits. This is a fact. But then we can see that Hong Kong Disneyland has begun to see a profit, and the number of admissions has increased. In fact, we've sought the advice of our independent consultant. And I want to say that we should be optimistic about the future performance of the Disney Park, Hong Kong Disneyland theme park. And we understand that there will be theme parks, new theme parks in the vicinity. But then we believe the profit of Hong Kong Disneyland will continue to grow. Now there will be this new hotel, and then concerning the Iron Man attraction and the other three new features, they are going to make Hong Kong Disneyland much more attractive. And so we believe there will be sufficient profit to repay the loan. Concerning the repayment, is it to be made out of the profit from the theme park or the profit from the hotel? We do the calculations as a whole on the basis of the entire theme park resort. You mean taking into account on the dining facilities as well? Because there can be separate accounts, and in my view, the repayment should be given to the SAR government first, to Walt Disney Company later, so that Walt Disney, responsible for the operation of the theme park, will have every incentive to step up the operation. Now, I haven't been to any of the Disney hotels before. I want to know whether the rooms for this new hotel will be smaller, and what about the hotel room rates? Now, I want to say that the room rates will be between the rates of the two existing hotels. Mr. Wong Yok-man. Chairman, it is said that in Hong Kong the capitalist system will remain unchanged for 50 years. But I think this Disneyland project contravenes this pledge in the basic law. Now we have public-private joint venture, and the Hong Kong government doesn't really stand to benefit. Concerning our two officials, so they represent the Hong Kong SAR government or Walt Disney. How come we can't be? We can't just buy the company? I think you should tell us how the loan can be repaid. We all know the background. We all know why this has happened. The problem is you can't guarantee the profit level. A member said that priority would be given or should be given to Hong Kong people. I think he is daydreaming. The hotel is called Hollywood. The target groups are the individual traveler scheme, visitors. So this name is called Hollywood. So I think it's Hollywood, all right? As I think the mentality is for all to see.
What kind of business is this? You see, if you are not talking about profits, what else are you talking about? You are doing everything to entertain the mainland visitors. Please don't introduce English into your phrasing. Thank you, Chairman. It's all to please the mainland visitors. Answer me. Why is it called 好莱坞? Why not Hollywood? Haven't you heard the song by Wen Yunguang? Now, I like to stress that Disneyland Hong Kong's customers are local visitors, mainland visitors, and international visitors. All three are important sources. And the future development is also geared towards these three sources. Now, on the Chinese translation of the name, Mr. Lee, can you supplement? When the hotel started, that's the name used, so I do not have the information on hand. Next, Dr. Fernando Cheung. And now the figures are becoming clear. We have pitched in $800 million now. Capital, $1.4 million, $1.46 million. We haven't received any of them. On the $7.8 billion capital by Disney, we should have 60-odd%, but our shareholding is only 52%. Now, I'd like to follow up on para 6. Now, we have to inject hundreds of million dollars more. So, what's the return? And you said that Disneyland hasn't disclosed its rate of return, but analysts say it's 8%. But this is the return to Walt Disney and not to the Hong Kong International Themes Park Limited. Now, for HKITP, what is the cost of capital? I can only say, according to the contract, what I'm able to say is that the rate of return from the hotel will be higher than the 8%. Now, just now, Mr. Tommy Cheung asked very clearly, are you combining the hotel with the company? So it's the hotel as a whole. The hotel may earn a good rate of return, but the rate of return for the company as a whole may be poor. Now, according to the terms of the contract, we cannot divulge the information. Next, Wu Chi Wai. It's very simple. I'd just like to ask, the government, in planning the capital injection into Disneyland, what was the term for recovery of capital? That is 50 years or 30 years or 100 years? What was the basis of the calculation? Any projection on the recovery of capital? Chairman, when we look at the development of the hotel, we looked at the development of the theme park as a whole. We have no target date to earn for the returns. We look at the overall benefits for Hong Kong and for the theme park. Now, very often people have a period in mind for the recovery of capital, say 50 years. Now, Do you have a forecast of the IRR, internal return? We're not asking for the actual figure. What was the IRR expected at that time? Now, Chairman, we can only say that for the rate of return for the hotel, we expect that it would be over 8%. Next, Claudia Mo. Hong Kong has a Hollywood Road. We all know that the name is the Hollywood in the U.S. Now, at the time it was said that Walt Disney was not keen to start Disneyland in Hong Kong. They had Shanghai in mind, so the Hong Kong government implored and got it for Hong Kong. So is that the reason why the word Hollywood was translated into Hawaiiwood rather than Hollywood? I believe these may not be, there may not be so many factors considered at the time when they arrived at the translation. Maybe they just used a convenient or customarily used name. If you are able to come up with the history, you can supply the information to members. Dr. Fernando Cheung. It's called the Hong Kong International Theme Park. That's the name of the company. I believe the return is negative, it's poor, but will Walt Disney make a profit? Or I believe they do from 2 years ago, but why is it that there has been so little profit? Why is it? Now we believe we have to, the reason is that we have to pay to Disney. They enjoy, Walt Disney enjoys a high rate of return. They earn a return of at least 8% a year when they invested in Hong Kong. But Hong Kong people invested over $10 billion, but we get back none of that. Can the Commissioner answer, please? Now, on the business of Disneyland, of course, loss was made in the first few years, but in the past few years, the tide has turned, and we are optimistic about the future, especially with a new hotel added. Wuchi Wai? Only one question. I'd like to ask the government's investment. Now, there has been no information on the estimated internal rate of return. Are there other projects where there's a similar situation? The Commissioner? Given the scope of my duties, now we have looked at a lot of infrastructure projects. They always have an estimated internal rate of return or or a period of recovery of capital. Please tell me. Well, they say they don't have the information available. Is this a confidential piece of information? The internal rate of return is over 8%, but because of the agreement with Walt Disney, we cannot provide the exact information. In their forecast, they expected 8% or more, but they cannot give you the actual figure now. Dr. Fernando Cheung, now in the current contract, every year we have to pay how much to Walt Disney. And in the ticket sales revenue, how much is taken up by Walt Disney first? And also when venues are rented out, the license fees would benefit Walt Disney. How much is that? Now, Disneyland has to pay to Walt Disney, the Walt Disney Company, management fee, and the license fee. Now, the management fee used to be based on the revenue, and since 2009, it's been based on the EBITDA for there to be greater incentive for the management company to improve the business. But for commercial reasons, we cannot divulge the information. Ms. Claudia Mo? I think the investment strategy is very strange indeed. Now, on the when you talk about free TV, or when you talk about the wireless spectrum, you seem to have different arguments, and now you are actually subsidizing the other side in this project. Now, the Disneyland project is very important for our development, so we have to continue to play a proactive role. The government will continue to invest more resources for the benefit of the tourism industry. Dr. Fernando Cheung. Now, according to Enclosure 6, our future cost of capital is about 10.3 billion plus 4.3 billion, and the Disneyland is 9.5 billion versus 14.3 billion by us. But our shareholding is 52%. We should have 60%. Why is it that we are so disadvantaged? We paid so much, and yet we give up in terms of shareholding ratio. Ms. Law? Now, let's refer to Enclosure 6. Ordinary capital equity. Now, we will provide a written reply later. You can see the figures in Enclosure 6, but they will provide more information on the equity arrangement. Sorry, Chairman, I was focusing too much on the figure mentioned by the member. I think we need to look at ordinary capital. For us, it's 10.3 capital, whereas for Walt Disney it's 9.5 billion. So we calculated 52%, 48% on that basis. As for the subordinated capital, we explained in 1999 when we applied for funding. Now, 4 billion was the price of the land, and that was recorded as subordinated equity. Now, when the Disneyland reaches a certain level in its business, the subordinated equity will gradually be converted into equity, and that has been commenced because last year Disneyland started to have profits. So we will gradually convert the $4 billion subordinated equity into ordinary equity. Now, in the future, when the $4.0 billion equity is gradually converted into ordinary equity, then our shareholding will increase.
Any further questions, Mr. Fernando Zhang? So, the commissioner said that we would still want to maintain this level of equity. But then, concerning the $4 billion, I think our shareholding will, because of this $4 billion, increase from the 52%. So I want to know whether the $4 billion will become our equity. I want to say that I have said that we would want to continue to be the majority shareholder, and of course the level of shareholding may change from time to time. And concerning the conversion of subordinated equity into ordinary equity, there is a timetable, and the progress also depends on the performance of the Hong Kong Disneyland. And so I can't tell you when or by what time all the subordinated equity will have changed into ordinary equity. But of course you will still try to maintain the majority shareholding status. Yes. Any further questions, Mr. Fernando Zhang? Chairman, so this is the reclaimed area. And the Hong Kong Disneyland takes up only a small part of this reclaimed area, and the hotel is here. And this part, now it has been under the sun since 2008. So considering this vast piece of land under the Penny's Bay reclamation project, I would like to know for how long in the future will it continue to be under the sun? Yes, Chairman, we understand that we need to discuss with Walt Disney as soon as possible Phase 2 development. And in fact, from time to time, there are activities on this area. For example, some Boy Scout camping activities. And so I want to say that, in fact, the site is made use of for some activities. So will you keep the panel informed of the progress of Phase 2 discussions? Right, Mr. Fernando Zhang? Chairman, as far as I understand, Walt Disney Company can purchase the land at the price of at a cost price, so to speak. Is that right? In fact, that the premium was fixed at $2.8 billion. So $2.8 billion will be the basis for calculation, but then inflation will be taken into account. So concerning this pledge to allow Walt Disney the option to take up the site within a 20-year period. Now, the company may decide not to take up the site, and there is this 20-year guarantee for the Walt Disney Company. Is that right? So does it mean that there's a 20-year period during which Walt Disney can decide whether to take up the site or not? I've already explained. I'm slow. I've already explained. The master agreement was signed, and then the 20 years were counted from then. And then there is also a possibility of extension, but then that would be subject to the achieving of certain operational indicators. I understand that there are some preliminary discussions on phase 2, and in fact both sides are keen to start the negotiations on phase 2 as early as possible. Mr. Wu Chiwei. Chairman. So our capital commitment is $1.1 billion, including the conversion of the loan into equity. And then for the hotel, it is said that the rate of return on investment is 8%. So is it that in fact for this entire financial commitment, is it that the rate of return on investment is 8%? We were talking about the rate of return for hotel, and we said that it would be higher than 8%. But then for the hotel, the total investment is $4.6 billion, right? The maximum investment is $42.3 billion. And of course, we've taken into account possible construction cost escalation and contingency. So we will not exceed $4.26 billion. So for this 8%, is it that it's going to be the rate of return for the years to come? We've said that for this project, the rate of return will exceed 8%. So in other words, higher than 8%. Right, Mr. Fernando Zhang, the 10 front. A loan will be converted into equity, and I believe this will amount to a transaction among associated persons, and I believe even the SFC will require some disclosure. So can we be given the audited reports of the HKITP? Chairman, thank you. In fact, since 2009, we have been reporting to the panel on the major performance figures. I want to have the audited reports of this company. Do you publish the audited reports? This is commercial information belonging to the joint venture, and I understand that we can't publish these reports. So it depends on whether, for listed company, yes, these audited accounts have to be published. I want to say that the HKITP is not a listed company, Chairman. All right. If there are no further questions, I will put this item to the vote. Those in favor of FCR 2014-15, Mr. Wong Ting Kwong would like to claim a division, and the bell will ring for 5 minutes.
注意即將要
Members, we will be voting on FCR 6.
Please
return to your seats, members. Voting begins.
向我宣布表決
Members, please check the votes you've cast. Voting is closed. The results are displayed. 48 present, 39 yes, 8 noes, no abstention. So the item is approved. Right, item 7. This paper seeks members' approval for a new commitment of $41.4 million for the procurement of the ground receiving station of the medium Earth orbit search and rescue satellite system for the Hong Kong Maritime Rescue Coordination Center of the Marine Department. On the 8th of April this year, the security panel was consulted on the proposal. And to answer members' questions, we have the following officials in attendance. Mr. Kwok Yum Yong from the Security Bureau, Mr. Lai Chi Tong from the Marine Department, and Mr. Yun Wai Yip also from the Marine Department. Mr. Kwok Kim, Chairman of the Security Panel, will now report to members the deliberations of the panel. Yes, Chairman, on the 8th of April, the Security Panel discussed the procurement of the MIOSA satellite system for the MRCC, Hong Kong Maritime Rescue Coordination Center. Members noted that concerning the in fact 5 out of 6 LEOSA satellites had gone beyond their usable life, and these needed to be phased out, and members were in support of the funding proposal. Thank you. Do members want to ask questions on this one? Ms. Sit Ho. Thank you, Chairman. I know nothing about these satellites. Oh no, the Malaysian airline aeroplane went missing, and it was said that the airliner didn't procure a certain service.
So a signal was sent intermittently, and it was a simple response so that the system can track the plane. Now, ask the new satellite system, will each airline company be free to purchase this service or otherwise? So in that case, will the international organization earn a revenue and Hong Kong will be able to share in it? On this technical detail, I'd like to ask the maritime colleague to answer. Mr. Lai? Now, on airplanes, they need an emergency reporting mechanism. Now, when the airplane gets lost, this mechanism will self-start automatically, and the monitoring systems around the world will be able to receive it. Now, in the case of the Malaysian airline plane, this mechanism was never activated, and it still remains a puzzle. Now, in the media, it said that the Malaysian Airlines didn't buy a service. So how is the revenue received by this international organization? Now, we have to provide this service, and because the airline companies in turn purchase the service, so we will earn anything from that. Now, actually, they don't buy the service. Now, according to the International Civil Aviation Association, now when they install such a machine, when there is an emergency, the signal will be emitted to Earth search and rescue centers that includes maritime and civil aviation search and rescue centers, and then the rescue personnel or services will be launched, and there is no cost involved, no fees involved. Now, this is an international obligation only? Yes. Next, Mr. Fan Kwok Wai. Now, looking at the document, Canada, the U.S., France, and UK, now in 2005, they already established the medium Earth orbit search and rescue system, and Marine Department is proposing this in 2014 and will start operating in mid-2016. Now, in 2012, it was already reported that the MEOSAR will be more effective than the low Earth orbit search and rescue satellite system. Why is it that we don't change to the new system until now? Is it that the service life of the old system will last till 2018? Now, when the medium Earth orbit system fully replaces the low Earth orbit system, now it will have run on a trial basis for 1 to 2 years in Hong Kong. Now, will that fully allow the Marine Department to be familiarized with the use of the new system? Now, the arrangement of MEOSAR is that from 2011 to 2015, there was a period of assessment spread over the 5 years. Now, to set up the system, it takes 2 years. We apply now. It will be operative in 2016. By that time, the system will be initially operative already. So we will not join this reporting system. All the data will be available. Is that the receiving stations are not fully covering every part of the world, but the satellite system is already covering the entire world. And what's the trial period? For how long? When our system is constructed, now according to the International Organization for Search and Rescue Satellite Systems, we have to submit the test results to the International Assessment Panel, and then they feel we are meeting the requirements, and then we can fully start to operate. Now, other countries, do they have the similar experience or situation? That is, when medium Earth orbit system replaces the low Earth orbit system, the two systems operate over an overlap for a period of time. Other countries have the same situation. Now they report the new system data to the international organization to be confirmed first. So when the two systems operate, they operate independently. Wuchi Wai. Now I noted that in footnote 2, it said that the MuSA provider has not fully provided the satellite system, and in the coming 6 years, U.S. and others will send certain number of satellites into space. Now, of course, the coverage is quite good already. So, in the coming 6 years, what kind of timetable is there for a full coverage? And in the coming 6 years, when all the satellites are already sent into the space, then our receiving station can receive all the signals. So we can receive all the signals for emergencies emitted from all parts of the world. I can answer the third question and first question at the same time. There are already 15 satellites in orbit right now. They already cover the world. Now EU and US and Russia, they will send 17 more in the next few years. So there will be 30 satellites, and they will cover the whole world very fully. Tanka Peel. Now, looking at page 7 of the document, the working timetable is that now the implementation plan, now the preparation of tender specification is in July. Now, this document was initially tabled in April, and now there's a 3-month delay. Will that affect the process? And members ask, is this an international obligation? And if we are late, what will happen? I will attempt to answer. Now, if members can look at the document, now the expected commencement operation. Now, actually, there's a little bit of error here. So these are the. This is not the target completion date, but the date of starting. Now, if this is proposal is passed today, then we will be able to adhere to the original timetable. The second question. Now, since we have an international obligation in 2016, when we operate the RC, then the system will be operating, and we submit the experience to the International Assessment Panel, and they will confirm that we can operate. Next, Fernando Cheung. Now, it appears from the document that 10 countries are now using the new system. Now, in Asia, there are also Hong Kong and Japan who will employ the system. Now, China is not here. Taiwan and Malaysia, they are not in the system. Is there any particular reason? Now, if it's clearly superior and the old system is going to be phased out, and yet China is not using the system, then is there anything of concern to us? Mr. Lai? Now, for Southeast Asian countries generally, they are like Hong Kong. They do not want to take part in the initial assessment stage. So the US, Canada, etc., they are already doing a good job. So many Southeast Asian countries are about now going to build such a system, and they will be operative in 2 years. The document shows that only Japan is coming on board. Now, this is a system to be used by Maritime Department and Civil Aviation Department jointly. Now, you said that the future terminal will be placed at the Civil Aviation Department, so the control will be rest with Marine Department rather than the CAD. Now at CAD they also have an identical system. When the signal comes back and are received by the receiving station, they will come to the Maritime Rescue Center, Coordination Center. If it's about airplanes, then it will go directly to CAD. Now on maintenance and administration, which department will be responsible? The Marine Department will do its own maintenance and repairs. So you're responsible for maintenance and repairs, correct? So if there are problems at CAD, it will still be for the Marine Department, yes. It's 1 minute before the break, so we will come back after a 10-minute break.